a terrific day, and if you'd offered England this situation at the start of it, they'd have snatched your hand off. It might have been even better, but they've finished bowling Australia out for 295, so a lead of 12 runs, and excellent batting there towards the end from Cummins and Murphy. There was that run-out controversy from Steve Smith. I know my colleagues down the corridor on TV have been viewing and reviewing that run-out, and I think they're quite inconclusive about it, to be honest. When Smith, he was nearly brilliantly run out. Bairstow just appeared to at least lift a bail. Did it lift it completely? Did it come out of his groove? Well, that's up on Menonside that it had done. And so he was given not out. Went on to make a very good 71. Let's start with Michael. England would have taken that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, great day's play for England. I thought they bowled beautifully. I think in the last hour we saw a few tired legs, and you're right in mentioning that tomorrow when they bat, they'll play positively, of course they will, but they do have to have a little bit of intelligence to give those bowlers a few hours rest. They have to, the likes of Wokes, who's into his third
they've got
test.
to give him a day. They've got to.
If England bat a day, they'll get 400. That's the way that they play. It's going to be interesting to see whether they've learned, because I think we've all seen Bazball over the course of this test series, and we felt at Old Trafford that they did start to play with more intelligence to what they were at the start of the series. Well, this is Edgbaston all over again. Australia. I think there was a 7-run difference in that game. This is parity pretty much at the halfway house. Can England go and play with a little bit more sensibility than we saw at Edgbaston in that second innings? But you're absolutely right. If England have been given what they've got at the start of the day's play, I have to say I've been bamboozled with Australia's approach, particularly in the morning session where they just played for survival. Yes, it was doing a bit, but I've never seen an Australian batting unit play with so much fear. They look like they were fearful of something. I'm not too sure what it is, whether it's because they're so close to winning the Ashes. Only they can answer that question. But England were fantastic, and they've got themselves in a decent position.
I can see a bowler in the distance there who'll be wanting to get his feet up tomorrow. Jimmy Anderson, I think, way down there, is talking to the press. It may be that he comes and speaks to us during the course of this as well. Glenn, go on then. You respond to that. That wasn't a great performance from Australia. And this morning they seemed completely to lose their way, and they lost 5 wickets in the afternoon.
Yeah, I know. I think that their plan was to sort of be batting well into tomorrow, but the way they started, I think they just got themselves into a hole. I don't think they really meant to go along and not score, because if you're not scoring, the game's not moving forward, and if you lose a few wickets later on, you're going to be in trouble anyway. And I think that's what happened really. So I'm not sure what their game plan really was first thing this morning, but they just got themselves in a big hole and couldn't get themselves out. And then,
do you think that was their plan? Do you think to bat like that was their plan, or was it just that they just got themselves stuck?
It's pointless. Yeah. It's pointless. You bat like that, you score no runs, and then after lunch you lose a couple of wickets. Sooner or later you're going to lose wickets, and you're in trouble. So there's no point in batting like that. So that it couldn't have been their plan. And then as it went on after lunch, I thought Stuart Broad was the pick of the bowlers, and I was surprised a couple of times that he didn't come on first, or Mark Wood come on first. So they stuck with Jimmy Anderson a couple of times. I know out of loyalty, and fair enough. And then when they lost those wickets after lunch, they got in a position where I thought they could have bowled Australia out for 220, 230, and had a decent lead. And the partnership at the end. Those couple there, especially Cummins and Murphy, that sort of, I think Australia were pretty happy with where they're at the moment compared to where they could have been. So it's another one of those days that ebbed and flowed and looked like somebody was going to get ascendancy. Then it went the other way. So it's just, take out Old Trafford, this whole series has been incredible. So, I think both teams at stages through today will probably be happy with where the game's at.
Yeah, I'd say that Smith run out, 194 for 7 the score was then, so 89 behind. We can talk about that controversy in a moment, but first, Steve Finn, bowling wise, what do you think of England's performance today?
I thought they were good. I think they weren't put under pressure by Australia, and I think there's such a different feeling when you're a bowler about when someone has intent to score against you, and I didn't feel Australia had that intent to score against England, which meant that England could just be consistent with the way that they bowled. And I think that everyone ably went about their work today. I agree with Glenn that spell from Stuart Broad again just changed that little bit of momentum. Khawaja looked as though he was bedded in again. He'd bunkered down and seen through that morning session, but then Broad got him and head out, and it felt there was a little momentum shift then. So I think he was the pick of the bowlers. I think Joe Root actually is a part-time bowler. We know he's a bit better than that, but I think that he filled the void that Moeen Ali left today. But in general, I think England will be very happy, but I do think what we're probably going to talk about in a bit, that they need rest. They bowled a lot of overs there, 20, 26, 22 and 25 overs each. That's going to be crucial in their attempts to win this game.
Well, this is important though, isn't it? I mean, what is more important for England in how they win this game? The approach. Because if they go out and crash it about and get bowled out in 60 overs, yeah, they might score 300 in those 60 overs, but they've got these fellas going to come out and have to go and bowl again under pressure. Surely their game plan has to be to bat the day tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about sensible approach and trying to use a bit of intelligence and kind of batting for your bowler. I always say bat for your bowlers. England have to bat for the bowlers tomorrow.
Okay, let's just find out. Jimmy Anderson's with Henry Moran. Henry.
Well, Jimmy, close of another day where it feels like it's swung one way and then the other. Where do you see it?
Yeah, well, it's a very level game. It feels like it's come down to a one-innings match. I felt we bowled really well throughout the day, and obviously getting into position we did. We probably, I guess, a little disappointed that they got past us, but that's the nature of the game. We've got to give them credit. I thought particularly Pat and Murphy batted very well at the end, and that partnership just took them past us. But I thought all in all, really good day from the bowlers. It feels like a fairly slow pitch today. Certainly feels like it's lost that pace it had yesterday. And we had to really slam the pitch and to get anything out of it. And I thought we stuck our task brilliantly all day.
Did that first session, where it was such slow going for Australia, rather set up the day? Do you feel that maybe they were actually just almost going nowhere and that gave you an opportunity?
Yeah, I felt like, well, obviously they didn't really try and do anything out of the ordinary in that first session, but I thought we bowled really well. We didn't really allow them to get away from us. And yeah, obviously when they only get, 40-odd runs in the first session, from our point of view, we know that if we get a couple of quick ones in the afternoon session, which we did, then the scoreboard looks very different. So I think from our point of view, we weren't really focusing on what they were doing. We were just trying to do what we do best, and that is hit good areas with our skills. And yeah, I thought we did a great job of it.
What was the talk out there in the middle when Steve Smith looked like he was out and then he wasn't?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell when you're 150 yards away from the big screen, but it's one of those. It felt like one of those where Australia would think it was not out and we thought it was out. I've not had a proper look on the TV yet, but yeah, it looked a very close decision. We have to trust that the third umpire knows what he's doing and got the decision right.
Funny series that there's been an awful lot of time where Australia have been batting to get the same number of runs that England get in a very quick time, and just up there in the commentary box talking about the England batting in it needing to bat for the bowlers to give them a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I guess, but to be honest, we want to get a challenging total for them to make it hard for them to chase down. So to be honest, I can't see us going out and batting any differently to the way we have done throughout the series. We've got a very positive outlook on the game, got very positive players in the dressing room that want to go out there and show off their skills, which we've seen throughout the series, so I'm sure it'll be no different tomorrow.
What about your series? The general consensus, you bowled well without necessarily getting the reward. Is that how it's felt?
Yeah, I think so. I felt like today in particular I bowled really well, and obviously on another day could have got a couple more wickets, but that's the nature of the game. You obviously pray that these lean patches don't come in one of the biggest series that you're going to play in, but unfortunately for me that is the case. But I've still got another innings to be able to try and do something for the team and get us over the line, get us a win.
Looking at the surface, how it's playing, do you have in your mind what you think would be enough to really put pressure on Australia in the final innings?
Yeah, 800. I think realistically it's going to. I can't see it deteriorating much. Obviously we're without Mo, which is a bit of a blow for us. So we'll want, I'd love to see us get 300 plus and try and put some pressure on them with the ball. as you said, we need maybe a day of feet up for the bowlers, and then we'll come back refreshed and hopefully do a good job in the fourth innings.
Just finally, any idea who is going to bat 3 in Mo's absence?
I don't know. I was actually going to open the batting if there was 1 over left in the day, which was quite exciting for me. But I'm not sure actually. I think we'll discuss it overnight and we'll see.
Genuinely?
Yeah. So if there was an over left, it would have been me and one of the openers who'd have gone out and done a night watchman job, sort of sacrificial lamb going out there and just trying to get through the 1 over. But thankfully that didn't happen. And hopefully, as I said, we'll see what happens tomorrow with the batting order.
Cheers, Jimmy. Thanks a lot.
There we are. Thanks to Jimmy Anderson. There you go. He could have come out and poor old chap pushed out there at the age of 40.
Yeah, but
41 on Sunday.
Yeah, why not? This England team do things completely different. But he made a very good point. This pitch won't deteriorate. It will be a good pitch going into days 4 and 5 if we get that far. Those footballs generally do produce a little bit more spin over the course of the Test match. There's no Moeen Ali. Joe Root can do a really good job, I think. Joe Root is an off spinner that I never think he's going to bowl bad balls. He's just always there or thereabouts. Gives a few revs on the ball, but I think if you said to Australia you're going to chase 250, 270 to make sure you win the Ashes on a pitch that's playing like it is now, and it might get a bit better against the seamers, and you've got to play Joe Root quite nicely, I think Australia would have taken that.
Just pushing this business about the bowler's rest again. I mean, it's all very well to say, well, that's where we play, that's where we're going to bat, and so on. But if you've got four quick bowlers, your spinner's gone in the groin. You actually, it's essential to have a break, isn't it?
I'm laughing at you because we can say whatever we could say. Come on, guys, just bat the day out, bat sensibly, leave a few. Come on, Ben Ducky, you can leave a few. It's the easiest shot in the game. They're not going to do it. They're going to go out and play the Bazball way. They're going to try and put Australia under pressure. But I just hope they have learnt from Edgbaston. That second innings at Edgbaston, I know everyone talks about the declaration that Ben made on day one, and that's what cost them. I actually thought it was the batting in the second innings where Joe Root was stumped for the first time in his first-class career, dancing down to Nathan Lyon, and then Johnny Bairstow, the trap was set for the sweeps. Yeah. What did he do? He swept. So I just hope they've learnt from that and they come out tomorrow and don't gift Australia 3 or 4 easy wickets. Yes, play positively, but we want to see England play with a little bit of sense in it. Manchester, when they scored at over 5s, there was sense because they just knocked it. When the field spread, and Pat Cummins is interesting because will Pat Cummins have learnt from what's happened? Will he bring the field up for certain players, or will he spread it once again? And if the field is spread, England should just take the runs and don't gamble too much, too hard, too soon, because if they do, against Cummins and co, they'll offer chances. And I would bet, I've never seen Australia twice in a match catch so many drop so many balls. I think the catching of Australia in the second innings might be a little bit better than we saw in the first innings.
Yeah. What do you make of what Anderson had to say there, Glenn?
Yeah, no, I guess you're not going to come out and say, I've been down this series, haven't bowled well. He still thinks he's bowling well, and you still have to think you're bowling well. And to chase 800, I was going to suggest 800 as well, and it just came up. But it's more tongue-in-cheek, obviously. But this whole series, and even talking to Brody, he said, you go out there and you bowl your heart out, and then within 60 overs you're out there bowling again. So it does take its toll, and they'd like a good rest. But it's one of those things. This pitch here, the conditions, everything that's going, it's exciting cricket, isn't it? So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
I was just bringing something to your attention. I think of all the people that wear the bucket hat for England, I would have thought it would have suited Jimmy Anderson. I don't think it suits Jimmy Anderson. I think Moeen Ali looks the best in the bucket hat. It's clearly, if you're going to go out and interview on Sky these days, you have to wear the bucket hat.
It looks as if they're making it. It looks a bit droopy, that one, doesn't it? Right. So the run out then, gentlemen. This was a what are you pointing at Finney for?
Well, it feels like it's my turn to speak.
Well, you can start if you like.
Are you going to get
it's a really hard one.
The three of us, I guess.
Right, it's a really difficult one, isn't it? Because it seems as if benefit of the doubt has been completely removed. As if that the technology said you can't have benefit of the doubt anymore, and yet that looks to be a case in point where actually. It is so tight, and depending on what angle you look at and how much of a bail may or may not have been lifted, the law says that the bail has to be completely removed from its groove.
From both grooves?
Well, the bail has to be completely removed from the groove. So that suggests, well, it is a bit ambiguous, but it suggests that the whole bail has to be off does it not? Off the stumps and completely out of the grooves at each end. The bail has to be completely removed.
My interpretation of it would be that I think the umpire made the correct decision, because Bairstow disturbed the stumps when he was going to collect the ball. So the groove of the left bail, the left-hand groove of the left bail was up, and there was clear daylight between that and the stump. So for me, that bail's gone and out of the equation at that stage. The ball then hits Bairstow's glove, and then as he takes the stumps, Steve Smith's bat goes over the line at the second or the millisecond that the second bail comes out of one of its grooves. So therefore Smith is home by the time the stumps are disturbed legally, and for me it's not out.
Michael, I'll just repeat that law. So law 29.1, the wicket is broken when at least one bail is completely removed from the top of the stumps, or one or more stumps is removed from the ground.
I'm with Finney. I think if Johnny Bairstow had that time again, I think he doesn't touch the stumps with the gloves first. So I think technically Johnny probably just panicked a little bit and just kind of snatched at the ball, which made the left glove touch the
it's
stump.
A brilliant piece of fielding, by the way.
Brilliant from young Georgie Elam.
Yes.
Mark Elam's son, flying in,
Alan's,
little whip of
Alan's
a
grandson.
Throw. Fantastic bit of fielding, but yeah, I'm with Finney. I think it's out. Fraser Stewart's a bit of a worry for me. The MCC hasn't sent me a WhatsApp with a definite out or not out, which is, I think it's one of those grey areas. I think it's a grey area dismissal, but I do think by Johnny knocking the stump, I think he could have kept his hand out the way.
Pointless asking Glenn McGrath.
No, I'm all about what's best for cricket. Angus, I know you're. I know you're trying to find a way that it's not out.
No,
but,
that's a 2-all drawn series is best for cricket. Then, so
I like to keep things uncomplicated. If I say keep it simple, sounds a bit dodgy. I'll keep uncomplicated. So the three things I think: 1, don't hit the stumps before you get the ball. 2, stay in your crease. 3. And this one I don't agree with either. Catch the ball properly and don't let it slide on the ground. So just keep it simple. So it's one of those things I just think, as soon as that bail popped up, same as Finney, in my thoughts, that's not out. So, and the rules may suggest it's a little bit different to that. So
I'm going with Jimmy Anderson. I think if you're an England supporter, you'll think it's out. If you're an Australian supporter,
that's why I say it's like a grey area.
You'll think it's not out. I just think it's one of those. And the word for me is completely.
Yeah.
And is that bail completely removed from the top of the stump? And that's what I think people will look at.
The other thing too, we were sitting here watching live and then watching the replays. Slow mo, I thought, he's made it. Then super slow mo, he's out. Walking off, that's out. I didn't even consider that Bairstow had knocked it. So you've got to give credit to third umpire. Well, I don't know if you have to give credit to him.
I think you do.
That he picked it up.
Absolutely. It was forensic.
We're sitting up here. We didn't pick up anything. Maybe other umpires may not have picked it up, but that's a good bit of work.
Yeah, it's very forensic from umpire Menon. Well, let's hear from Steve Smith. He, of course, was at the centre of that incident, diving for his ground. And he's been speaking with Simon Mann.
Well, Steve, was that a day that really typified this Ashes series?
Yeah, I suppose it's ebbed and flowed the whole way, hasn't it? So we're probably a little bit disappointed with today. The wicket was pretty good. Obviously it swung around for a lot of the day with the overheads, but the wicket itself played really nice. So quite a few of us got starts and weren't able to go on and make a big score. We had a few 40, 50 run partnerships. If we make those a little bit bigger, we set ourselves up a little bit better, but wasn't to be. We're in this position now. We're 12 in front. It's a one innings game from here pretty much.
It looked really hard work in sort of first half of the day. What was the plan this morning as a team?
Just to bat normally. There was no real plan, just play the game. I thought they bowled pretty well this morning, to be fair. Didn't give us too many boundary scoring opportunities, and obviously Marnus was finding it quite hard to score runs at that stage, but he stayed out there for some time and kept them coming back, and disappointing day for us, I think, all up. We would have liked a few more to get in front in this first innings.
How did you feel you went today?
I thought I batted really nicely. I was feeling good throughout. Obviously ran out of a few partners in the end. Paddy was out there, was playing well. I might have hit the trigger a little bit early. It was just a sort of counter punch at that point in time. But, if I'd stayed in, Murph mightn't have come in and did what he did and got a partnership at the back end. So who knows? But, one innings game now.
And finally, what was your view of the run-out incident? Have you had a chance to have a look back at it?
I haven't, no. Only what I saw out on the field. So looked like Johnny knocked the bail to start with, and then, I don't know, it was a close one, but got given not out, didn't it?
Thanks for your time, Steve.
No worries.
Thanks very much.
Can't argue with that. And so there you go. Quite a straight answer. What interested me, though, was that he actually said that Australia hadn't had a good day today, and that sounds an honest assessment.
Well, from the start of the day, they wanted to be still batting tonight. 4 or 5 down, they'd be happy. But that first session, and even I think Steve Smith, he didn't really know how to answer that question because things didn't go to plan in that first session. He said Marnus got stuck and sort of tried to tough it out, but you can't just not score. So I think they're disappointed with the first session. That middle session, it did move around a bit, and you've got to give credit to the bowlers. Broady bowled incredibly well. Those 2 wickets just sort of got the ball rolling for England, but Australia hadn't scored any runs, so those wickets felt even bigger than what they probably were. So they're disappointed with the game. If you look at it from the start of the day, if you look at it when they're sort of 7, 8 down, they're probably a little bit happy where they ended up. So, you take it as it comes.
They won't get 90 overs tomorrow, but say they get, 80.
Well, that's the norm. They bowled 80 today.
Where are England going to be? How are they going to play tomorrow? Seriously. I mean, we've thrown everything. We've thrown all the factors out there. The fact these fellas need to get their feet up, and the fact that England would clearly come out and play the way that they're determined to play. What does tomorrow bring?
I think a lot's going to depend on the cloud. If the clouds are around and it does a bit, I worry that the Baz bowlers might just play 1 or 2 too many shots in the morning. And I said before, I don't think Australia will be as bad in the field. If it gets like this, as we're looking out at the Oval, where the few clouds are around, but it's nice blue sky as well, and it's bright, and it's a pure day for batting, I think England will be fine. I think they'll get over 300, but I do concern this England side in the morning. If there's a bit of cloud around, we always know here at the Oval in the morning session it generally does a little bit more. And if the Baz bowlers come out playing a few too many shots, we might see a few wickets fall. I hope not. I hope we are in for an absolute classic, and it's a 300-run chase and beyond in the last innings, because I want Australia to really earn that win. I want them to have to chase a decent number to make sure that they can say, we fully deserve to win this Ashes series.
So, I must admit, we said at the start, Steve, I mean, England would have bitten the hand off if they'd been given this opportunity. And Test cricket, I mean, you move from today, it's a crucial day today, move to tomorrow, it's a crucial day tomorrow. It's just kind of the way it all works, isn't it? But, it is. I mean, a lot of it does hinge on how England bat tomorrow.
It is, and I just expect twists and turns. I actually look at the way that Pat Cummins played today and the way that he bowled in the first innings, and he looked refreshed and re-energised with both bat and ball. And I think that he, with the new ball in his hand, he didn't take the new ball in the first innings. He may give himself the luxury of doing that in the second innings, but I think that he's going to have a massive, massive say in proceedings tomorrow, especially in the morning. But all the time, you always look at the first hour and you think if Australia managed to prize out 2 or 3 early wickets against the way that England are playing, then it could turn into Australia's day. But then there's always a twist, and as we saw today, England got in the ascendancy. They got themselves in a position where Australia had found themselves in a deep hole, and it took a fantastic knock from Cummins, and the momentum actually and the stroke play of Todd Murphy batting all the way down at number 10 to be able to shift that back in Australia's favour. So it is a huge day, but I think there are going to be big twists and turns throughout the day. But Pat Cummins, for me, is the crucial player for Australia tomorrow with the ball. I
found it a bit frustrating that they as soon as Todd Murphy came out at number 10, everyone's back for the hook shot and they bowl bouncers at him. It's a bit one-trick pony, isn't it? And especially as an over where Mark Wood was bowling, and he got his sort of 2 for the over, I think with 2 balls to go, it might have even been 3. But they didn't bring the field in because you can't bowl any more bouncers. They just kept it as it was and so on. I don't know, if you're batting at number 10, I know he got 30 odd, played very well, but you're number 10 because you're kind of a number 10, aren't you? I mean, just to try and get them out.
Well, this is actually a curious day for England with the ball, because even though they went through periods of not taking wickets, they never went to their funky theories. It was a very traditional style test match. Yeah. Even with Head. Head came to the crease, they pitched it up, they attacked his outside edge and they found it. So they didn't feel the need to go to that throughout the day, even though they weren't taking wickets, which is unusual for England under Ben Stokes' captaincy, and in particular this series. So I'd imagine on reflection, and given the way that Todd Murphy then gave Australia momentum, I think that they'll probably regret not trying to get him out in a traditional manner to begin with. I think if he got to 20 playing glorious drives against full balls, by all means then go to bouncer theory.
Yes.
But I think that small period of play just gave Australia the momentum and the belief.
Andy Zaltzman's got his pink pen out, which means he's got some stats. What have you got from today?
Well, I mean, a lot of stats today, and we've seen once again the contrast between these two teams in that morning session, when Australia appeared to be trying to stop the world from turning, not just the scoreboard from turning. 12 maidens in the first 19 overs of the day, which is as many as Australia have bowled themselves in the Leeds Test, the Manchester Test, and the first innings of this Test combined. The overall maidens tally for the series, 157 to 32. Australia, unless they do something extraordinary, or England completely change their batting philosophy, well, they need to bowl 25 overs to avoid the record for fewest maidens bowled in an Ashes series, and that was set in a one-match series in the 1880s, 56 maidens. So it's been, I'm not sure there's ever been a series with a greater contrast in batting styles. The runs per over difference now 1.4 per over the course of the series. Australia reached 100 in the 48th over. It was the longest they've taken to reach 100 against England since the 1990 to 91 Ashes series, and the longest they've taken in a test in England since 1981. Usman Khawaja has now passed 1,100 balls for the series, but scoring at under 40 runs per 100 balls. That's the most balls faced by an opener in a series in England since Michael Atherton in 1998. Marnus Labuschagne's 9 off 82 against England to find a slower innings in terms of strike rate, so 11 per 100 balls. For Australia, of more than 70 balls, you have to go back to the test that launched the Ashes here in 1882.
Really?
Alec Stonewall Bannerman, who grounded out at quite spectacularly slow speed in that game, 1882, a game in which someone ate through the handle of their umbrella. It was so tense, so slow scoring. It contributes to the narrative. But basically, both teams have ended up in pretty much the same place, just a 12-run difference, albeit they've got there by very different roads in very different vehicles, one on a tortoise and one in a Lamborghini, I think. So, but it has been, that contrast has been fascinating throughout, and we've had incredibly close matches. So this is the fourth test with a gap below 100 runs, and the third of the 5 tests where the first innings gap has been under 30 runs. We only had 6 tests with a first innings gap below 30 runs in the last 20 Ashes series combined.
Lovely. Thank you, Andy. 66 sixes, did you say? Or actually more than that now, isn't it?
I think the tally's up to 69. It's the most sixes in any test series.